Welcome back, everyone. This is I'm uploading this. This is my PetSorc. Straight up got this build from Andy S, or at least what I think I see him using. You got a pretty dope ass score with that 602k. So I was thinking maybe try something similar. I did slot Deadric Minefield on for this particular run. The real thing here is going to be the trick is how you spawn camp the portals. Just like spawn camping in any other game, we're going to be talking about Maelstrom specific here over this video. It's kind of difficult to record on the Xbox for this particular way, because if I record starting moving forward, the arena gets extremely laggy. But if I press record and just make a 5-minute clips of those, then it's a lot easier to do it that way, and it seems like it doesn't lag me out as much. I mean, I have one death in this run on Arena 5, and straight up you'll see it is so stupid. Very broken mechanic that happened, and I got smacked around without being able to see. So this is the gameplay of what we're going to go through, and while we're going through the gameplay, I'm going to detail the build that I'm using. So something that Andy S pointed out, I think it was actually in one of the about section, was how much more important crit is in Maelstrom, and it got me thinking. You know, infal versus Moondancer, divines versus infused, precise weapons versus sharpened. What is most important here? Well, online, I think Delta, who doesn't play anymore, pointed it out that there's actually a guide online that tells you what the resistances are of everything in the arena. So up here in Maelstrom, not everything has 18k resistance, and just being a light armor user, you automatically have just shy of 5,000 penetration, and I spec 25 into spell erosion always. That gives me about 1,400 extra penetration. Now that puts me at about 6,000 penetration, which, I mean, doesn't seem like a crazy amount, but just knowing that most of the ads in here actually don't even have that much resistance, maybe might be able to put it into perspective. Now we're going to go over the ads and the health bars, and how 90% of Maelstrom is how quickly can you kill these silly little ads. And you'll notice that some of the strats that I'm using I picked up from other people, but I also picked up my own little strats. Just being watching a flawless run from someone on a PC and actually performing that on Xbox sometimes actually doesn't even work, because there's a lot of points that lag, and you just don't see a lot of that in some of the perfect runs. But then here we get to the part where, notice these ads don't have a lot of health. At least not enough like it's going to be a long fight. And what I've noticed even is, versus using a precise versus a sharpened weapon, I get faster kills everywhere with a precise weapon. Something crits, it dies. That is the main key to Maelstrom. I really wish that Xbox would let me have a run where I don't get an extremely long load time, or just straight up couple second lag spike where I pop 2 and I'm dead, and then I have to restart that whole round over, and it's almost always at the very end of a round at the mini boss. So it always takes more time, and time is score. Very clearly, time is score. So there in that run, you'll see that I actually use the Deadric Minefield in very specific places. Oh man, the recording on this one sucked, but if you notice, I actually burned that guy long before he sat down. The trick to that, if you see there it is. Okay, so you see the 2 mines right there? There's 5 Deadric mines. Each one of them deals about as much damage as a crystal frag, or maybe the Deadric curse. You gotta realize I can throw down 5 of those. It costs 4,000 magic. Do the math. That's a lot of damage burst out the bat that you can spawn camp there. Like where you see right here, I dropped the trap beast. Don't know what I'm gonna call this maneuver, but I do it a lot on my stand builds. I'll trap almost every ad in a trap beast, one at the portal, and it clicks before they even come out the portal. And once they're immobilized, it'll even show the word immobilized, and they're not even out of the portal yet. Once that happens, you can drop another trap, and that one won't disappear, and the other person will still stay trapped. So you have 2 trap beasts down, and if you plan your AoEs right, you'll have 2 ads trapped in a trap beast, and being a range build, that's gold right there. So see, I use Endless Fury on this run, just to see if it helps at all, but after looking at the sustain problems I had towards the end, I will be remorphing back to Endless Fury. And you'll notice I have Inner Light on 0 of my bars. Right now, at least on the Xbox, it is completely broken. And if I have Inner Light on my front bar and I use a crit pot, if I go to my back bar, that crit disappears. It's stolen from me. Thank you, Zos, for never fixing this. It's been 3 years almost, man. Come on, fix this already. Why do I use a potion at all if Inner Light's gonna steal my buff from me? Anyway, that's a little rant I have about that. Don't use Inner Light unless you put it on all your bars, and you can't do that. So don't use Inner Light. You can get the same buff from a potion and just smash the potions. All right. So Endless Fury versus Mage's Wrath. Mage's Wrath simply does more damage on the AoE explosion. So using it here is almost useless, being that you'll only ever hit someone with an Endless Fury 1 time and they're dead. And if it crits, they're definitely dead. So going back to the crit, let's get the gear set up. I'm using 4 infal and 5 necro potents and Illambris. I have 2 on this run I have 1 infused piece. In my Maelstrom runs I have 1 infused piece. For trials and stuff, that's totally different. I'm not even going to talk about that. Let's go Maelstrom right now. Crit. More crit the merrier. I believe I have just shy of 70% crit, whereas most Necropotence users with the Thief using a sharpened weapon are only going to experience a low 60%, maybe high 70% or high 50% crit rating, which hurts a lot. That is not good. Not for here, at least. I'm talking about Maelstrom, where things don't have a lot of health, and if you crit on them, they die. And you see that, all those crits, dead. 1 execute, dead. Right there. So back bar weapon is a sharpened lightning staff. If that concusses the enemy, which it doesn't always do, but when it does, it puts minor vulnerability on the targets, which is really nice. Which if you don't know minor vulnerability, it increases the damage received by 8%. So it's not just your damage, your little pet will do 8% more damage. Yeah, and that's really good. So here we use Boundless Storm, Trap Beast, Mines, Come Out, Power Surge, Liquid Lightning, Wall of Elements, Swap. Always hit the pet on the front bar, helps proc frags. That's why you always do that. You'll always see me go to my back bar, but I'll never bar swap anything but Wall of Elements, because we're trying to proc frags. Frag procs could literally kill a boss. As we'll see in Arena 8, I was 1 ability shy of killing that dude just because of the frags. And they are so cheap and so nice. Alright, front bar, obviously Force Pulse. That curse, that's the Deadric Prey morph. That increases the damage of your pets by 50%. That's a lot. Dude's already smacking harder than the Liquid Lightning. Here it is! Done. Oh, I suck at this game. Look at that noob death. I mean, how did I not avoid those 2 sweeps that clearly never animated? Whatever. Alright. You know what? Let's just go over bar setup, plain and simple. Back bar, Hardened ward, much stronger ward, and the pet loves it too. Power Surge, Wall of Elements, Blockade of Elements, Elemental Blockade. It lasts a little bit longer, so when you're spawn camping the portals, it doesn't disappear before you're done killing the ads. And I see people using the other morph. I would just like to note that other morph, you lose damage, like just by the fact it doesn't do it. It ends 2 seconds early, but only explodes 1 extra time before it explodes. So that's technically 1 less tick. And in the instance of Maelstrom, that is not good. You want your AoEs down. That's why I choose Liquid Lightning. It's 10 seconds. I mean, if the other morph lasted the 10 seconds, then that would be the way to go, because that's a big AoE, but I've tried it, and it's not effective. It just ends too quickly. So in this particular run, I'm really glad that I was able to get this shot here, because this particular one, I don't actually send the boss into her mechanic, or send her down on the totem. So I just want to show some of my friends that are going to be watching or asking about this build that this build is so strong, you don't need mechanics in this entire game anymore. Like, it's broken. This set, it's too OP. So, and alright, and then we'll go over to Overload Bar. Overload Bar, I have my ward. I did used to have a different ability there, but I noticed that if I was ever in Overload and I didn't have my ward on, for some reason it was just like, I died once from it, and I learned never to not have my ward on my bar there. So I got the ward, the pet. This time I tested Deadric Minefield, and you'll see during this, I changed it back to dark, Deadric conversion, or dark conversion. Sorry, the one that takes stam and gives you magic back. The Deadric Minefield, being very careful about it. Some bosses it won't work on, like Arena 1 and Arena 2, the bosses don't move, so you can't move them around. But like you saw in Arena 3, with the Lamia boss, where I can actually walk it through the mines, I sped her through the mechanics entirely. Just because I basically threw 7 frags at her like within 3 seconds of being able to move her around. And of course, rearming trap gives us that the crit damage buff, which also goes into play with having higher crit. You have higher crit, you have higher crit percent chance, and your crit bonuses are higher. You're gonna be doing a lot of damage, and that's the whole key here, is how much damage can we output in a very short amount of time. Crit wins there. Like I said, not talking about in-game trials, it's totally different. Watch a different video for that. Alright. So then we're gonna go over this this ulti here. This way too OP ulti. Which is why I almost have just quit using stam classes. The ballista was a phenomenal thing that happened when it came out, and I was crazy about it. That thing did so much single target damage that I was just like, oh, look at this shit. I can literally burn any boss through any mechanic. But this is the problem. It only hits one person. This Destro ulti is like ballista on steroids. It's ginormous AoE. So that is just crazy, and I definitely made sure to keep the lightning one. I did try it to put it on my front bar and switch it around a little bit, but in the end, that lightning one will always take the cake here in Maelstrom, because it lasts longer. And just being a shock attack, it has a higher chance of proccing the concussion. And being a sorcerer, we pull a lot of passives that allow for things to just instantly evaporate when they're hit by lightning. So the liquid lightning, wall of elements, boundless storm, and now we have the Destro ulti that's doing lightning damage, and force pulse, and our execute. So we're talking that's 5-6 abilities that we could be using to proc this implosion. It just turns these guys to little blue dust, and that's the trick right there. That implosion does a lot of damage, and it's turned a lot of people to dust. Sometimes I can just completely skip. I forgot about the pet. The pet puts out 2 sources of shock damage from its light attack and the pulse. So that's even more. And you'll see here, just with this little guy, I turn a quick work of him. Quick work. I can't even do that with the ballista. I've tried. Speeding them through the mechanics like that. So that's why I'm going to suggest this build for any of my new friends that are trying to run Maelstrom. Because this is, I mean, it seems advanced, but at the same time, if you can just watch this over and see the setup. Every single time there's a portal, what am I doing? I'm dropping a liquid, a wall of elements, switching bars, and hitting my pet, making sure that that's always popping. Now, keeping power surge up is also going to be a huge thing. Your pet heals from power surge, so if you accidentally drop that, even for a couple seconds, I've noticed that there's a couple times, like in Arena 5 and Arena 6, for some reason I drop my power surge for even 3 seconds and the pet dies. When your pet dies, your necro potency, you lose a lot of magic, which means a lot of damage. And coming back from that sometimes is very difficult. That takes a very advanced type of player to be able to come back from something like that. The cast time, the magic it costs, and if you accidentally do it on your back bar, you won't proc a frag, which you can from simply casting the pet. And that saved me a lot too sometimes, is just having to reproc the pet. I get a frag and I knock down the guy that's now right in front of my face about to heavy attack me. So here in Arena 8, I almost got it. It was so close. I thought I had enough magic going into that. Definitely misjudged it by one ability. Oh, this hurts my soul. I've consistently killed this guy so many times. I believe that the not having Endless Fury hurt me right here, and this is how Maelstrom works. You making a mistake 2 minutes back, it can affect you 2 minutes in the future. Like the round right before this, I could have easily executed and got, I don't know, maybe half my magic back by the things I executed in the round before the final boss. It's another thing you need to worry about. Learning the portal spawns is really what's going to break your score runs. So if you're not trying to go for score, you can pretty much just sit on your back bar with this type of a build and just throw Deadric Prey on the first enemy that comes out, sit on your back bar and heavy attack with your lightning staff. As long as your AoEs are down, that Hardened ward is way too strong to fail. So there that is. We're going to be throwing our proc frags, never for the kill. You don't really see it in this one because that's silly Endless Fury. I'm using Mage's Wrath, but you'll always notice that even when I get a crystal frag proc, I save it sometimes. Sometimes I straight up save it for the next round because I'm waiting for, like right there, I would have smacked that dude, but Zos stole my crystal frag randomly. And never using a crystal frag to kill anyone, even though it costs nothing really to throw a frag. I think it's like 700 magic or something if you do the math. It's still going to be much better to execute the guy or to just kill him with the force pulse and then hit that other caster or the other guy with the crystal frag and really take his health down. Sorcs have this really awesome ability. Their execute is unlike any other. I can throw my execute before they're in execute range and just throw a force pulse out and they will die. So reading into the Sorc execute a little bit, the way the actual ability works is after you cast it, it's really, I think it's a dot. I'm pretty sure I've proc Scoria in the old days on it. It's a 4-second proc where after you cast it, you have 4 seconds to get that boss to 20% or the enemy to 20% health. If you can do that within the 4 seconds, it will explode as if it stacked the execute. So like on Arena 2, it's about an 80% chance. There's some RNG involved in this, but since switching to crit and all that other stuff, you can easily shoot your first execute at about 40% of that Centurion's health. And then rest assured, you can hit Force Pulse until you see that explosion and start executing. You can push bosses from 20% to 0, literally within one execute, just because you already exploded them once, just by throwing out that execute early. So it'll stack like that. So let's go over to the tricky jewelry. So I got 1 necro jewelry, 2 infal jewelry, and the reason I'm sharing this is because this is a trick that I think Andy S might be doing now. I might be wrong. He might just be much better at conserving his magic than I am, because this is a new build for me and a new rotation. I'm used to my overload Sorc, but jewelry pieces. I got 2 spell damage and 1 magic recov. And as you can see with the speed of the actual burns themselves, it is not affecting that. The crit's too damn high, alright? That magic recovery, I'm pretty sure is the only reason I only ran out of magic twice in the whole run. With Endless Fury, or at least on my other mag Sorc that I have, look at that, that's nasty. That's just, right there is just the reason that Destro ulti is just nasty. I got stunned and it wouldn't let me pop out of it, and it's still all fried. So that magic recovery doesn't seem like a lot. There's a lot of downtime in Maelstrom. There's a lot of empty space where magic could just be regenning, and you know, doing the quick math, if you have high and you're critting a lot, then that's kind of it's bridging the gap, I should say, between your damage and the recovery portion. So it wasn't until I switched over to that magic recup glyph though that these runs became just butter. Just everything still melts just the same. In fact, I had my fastest boss burn on this run with that magic recovery glyph than ever. Arena 3, the Lamia Queen, and the Centurion Guard with the Deadric Mines, the recovery, and because Deadric Mines really is just an extra way to spawn camp them. It's not affecting anything to just always have magic. The only thing that's going to slow your runs down is going to be how many times are you heavy attacking, how many times do you have to back off the enemy in order to actually beat them, you know, to get your resources back so you can know that you'll be fine for the next round. And here we're going to watch the full power of this actual rotation when we're here spawn camping the correct way. Pop my pet. It had a frag there. You hear the noise? That's the frag. And here's another frag. And here's some executes. Done. If you want a good time frame on that, when I threw the Deadric Prey, that's 6 seconds. The Deadric Prey exploded right before my last execute, so we can go ahead and think that we're doing damage to this boss for maybe 8 seconds. 7 to 8 seconds. This might be a good relation. And you think about how much damage that is. That dude has, what, almost 300, 400,000 health? Someone fact check me on that, but do the math. That's some insane DPS. And this is, I mean, if it was a target skeleton, that might have ranked up in the 50, 60k just by default. Like, we're talking all 1 8-second parse of all full damage. And that's the trick we're getting at. Keeping your buffs up, your AoEs down, knowing your enemy. All the enemies in this have to follow the mechanical rules of all the other mechanics you've seen throughout the game. So if you've beaten all the vet dungeons, then you have seen all these mechanics somewhere. Anyway, one more time about the CP distribution. Never go more than 93 in anything, because we're talking about using 6 champion points to get 1 extra percentage, and you'll see when talking about if you're looking at your CP right now, it takes about 6 CP to get to 1% higher. So you could just redistribute those 6 to something else and it'll be better. And you'll see that a lot more in Morrowind. You won't even want to be past 50. So really, the red tree is going to be on your playstyle. But for magic builds, Hardy, Ellie Defender, and Thick Skin are pretty much where you're at. If you notice that you die to archers a lot more than you die to casters, spec more for Hardy, and vice versa. Green tree, always put like 10 into the roll dodge, break free. And 2 into blessed, always. 2 into blessed. Ooh, Maelstrom Inferno infused. Whew. Nice. Anyway, like and share. Thank you.